And in our personal feature, or finance feature, tonight we look at financial planning closely, particularly at wills and estate planning. Financial advisors that say having an up-to-date will and adequately planning for your estate are vital to promoting the financial future and well-being of your family. We're joined by Business Development Director of Ingcambu Judiciary Solutions, Des Tswaile, to help understand that more. Ingcambu, what does it mean?
Ingcambu, in the simplest terms, you could say tlholego, or the roots of. So there's a reason why we had chosen that name, because it stems from what we believe, it has been before in our cultural diversities and or in our, well-being. So it's the roots of.
Yeah, so but you talk about the importance of planning and also planting a seed, because before you can have fruit, you have to have a root of where things are based. So when you structure wills, how far back do you take it? Is it the young professional that is now the breadwinner in a particular household, or do you even go further than that?
What is important should be, or not rather forgetting, that your lifespan should be, give or take, up to 8 years or 85 years. And throughout that period, you have about, give or take, 15 to 20 years of a lifetime that you're going to be spending after you have worked hard. But before then, or after, during that period, it may happen that you pass away. And during that period, before you get to retirement, you are accumulating assets, and or you would have actually accumulated assets through, whether it's inheritance and all that. So with all that assets, you must remember that they need to go somewhere. So preparing for that eventuality, it is actually best when you start actually beginning work. So at the earliest of ages, whether it's 23, 24, it does not matter, but the earlier you start, the better off one would be.
And what triggers the conversation is just around financial literacy, because as you're saying, you acquire certain assets and maybe investments and shares, etc., that if it's not articulated within your close or your family, and there isn't a will, it could spark disaster.
It could spark disaster, because, the people that are going to be hurt most are the people that are dependent on you or on your income. We must remember that whether it is only one breadwinner that is basically having an income in a household, and or two incomes that is coming in a household, there are dependents that are dependent on that particular income. And that particular income, if it ceases to actually exist, then there should be actually some form of continuation or succession planned, so that the lifestyle of those that are left behind can still continue, with as much ease as possible. So you're taking the financial burden away, rather than just leaving, them with having to deal with your passing.
Okay, so when you talk about an active will, and it's a subject that is very contentious or uncomfortable or awkward to have, but it is necessary. So at which stage do you involve your dependents or your family to say, look, I'm thinking of writing my will, and this is, I'm consulting Des about it. So at which level do you engage them?
And I guess, the difficulty also with that is that, naturally as black people, we see basically talking about your own passing as very taboo. So we don't want to even talk about that, let alone talking about it with your own family. So what is important, however, is actually understanding the repercussion of not having done that and not having actually arranged properly with your family in time, so that you would know, or they would know rather, how to deal with the situation as it comes. Because what is also important is actually avoiding a situation where family members are going to be fighting over leftover assets and or things that you had, where you never actually specified where or how you would have wanted basically some of your stuff to be shared amongst your loved ones.
Yeah, and also that the state would then have to act as the executor of your will in the absence that you don't have one.
Which then also delays even the time of actually wounding up that estate. If you die interstate, it becomes very rather painful, for the heirs to actually, get that particular lump sum of money, if it is lump sum of money, and or particular assets that they can basically start using to normalize their life once again in the quickest time possible, and obviously stretch that period as well to a decent time where they can find feet again.
Yeah, what are the financial implications of having a will drafted, especially if you consult professionals and experts like you?
Well, look, it really depends on the size of the assets that one would have accumulated over the period. The simple will, however, in most cases you would find them free, given either by, financial institutions as well that are mostly, providing them, even if it's a bank. And if you basically consulting a financial advisor and or a specialist in that field, you would find that it's free. However, the more complex a will becomes, the more complex where you have to basically look at all the other assets and the complexities of how the structure of those assets are and the distribution thereof, then you might actually expect to pay some form of a premium as a fee for actually resolving or helping you basically draft a proper will. And most importantly as well, one needs to know that there is a small amount of money that you would pay, a couple of rands, maybe 10, 15, 20 rands, depending on who basically helps you draft the will, that, for safekeeping.
Okay, and then the executor, I mean, in terms of your estate, in the event that you pass on, do you then appoint your own trustees, or is it something that your consultant can also advise you on?
In fact, the person that you should be consulting should be helping you with that in the onset when you basically starting to draft your will, because at the end of the day, you would want to have somebody that you can give total or complete trust to make sure that they will ensure that your wishes basically are carried through in the very same way that you would have loved them to as if you were alive.
Okay, there's contact details, please. People are seriously thinking about, sorting out their affairs, as it were.
All right, basically everybody can just email us at fiduciary at ingambu.co.za.
Okay, we're going to have to spell that out. At Ingambu.
Yes, that's INGCAMBU.co.za.
Okay, Des, lovely having you. Thanks indeed. Much appreciated.
Thanks.
And that is, I guess, speaking on the importance of getting your finances in order so that your beneficiaries can enjoy what you had worked so hard for. But that is this edition of Besense. Thanks as always for joining us. We're back after this.